everyone, welcome back to Tinateach HTML. This time is a very short lesson. We're talking about comments. Okay, so why do you need to know about comments? What are their purposes and what are the ways that you can use them and their syntaxes? First, comments. Comments are ignored by the browsers by default, right? And you can use them to serve as notes or documentation to help you. They can also hide block of quotes temporarily for you. Here is a multi-line comment. You can actually just do single line. This supports single line and multi-line. These are the symbols that you need to write. This is the beginning and this is the end, okay? You can have whatever spacing, whatever new lines in your comments. And to hide the content, just put your code in between these two. And if you want to hide parts of your elements, that can do. You can put comments anywhere in your code, and they'll just be ignored by the browsers completely. So let's have a quick demonstration. Okay, this looks a bit hard to see. I'm going to format the document a bit. There we go. And let's see, I want to hide the address section, okay? If you don't have an end tag for the comments, everything else that's behind the starting tag will be comments, okay? Now I want to hide some of the elements, okay? And then I want to put in some documentations, right? Okay. All of these showcases how you can do quotations and citations. I'll link the video up here. You can click on it and see what it's all about. Control S to save, and let's see. There you go. None are shown, the address is hidden, and some parts of the videos are hidden as well. It's very short, very concise, but comments are very important to help keep your codes concise, understandable, comprehensible. Okay? Remember to click that like and subscribe button. I hope to see you next time. Learn today, better tomorrow. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach HTML. Today we'll be learning about colors. So let's take a quick look at our goal. We'll be looking at how to add colors to our elements, as well as the different ways that we can code it. For example, RGB or hex or so on. So first with the basics, HTML colors. We can assign colors to elements just by using color name. I'm going to demonstrate this with background color, okay? So we have our P element here with the style attribute, and then we have the background color property, and the value of that is tomato. As you can see here, I've put some of the names that you can literally just type into your code. Green, tomato, violet. There are actually way more colors that you can just type in using their names. I'll be putting them in the description below. Okay, so you already have the color. What if you want to change the opacity, right? So we can use, once again, the background color property, and then we can have a separate property, opacity. It's very simple. For opacity, you can either put it as a percentage or a decimal, right? 50% and 0.5 is the same thing. If you want it 90%, then it's 0.9. 1 is 100%. 0.2% is 200%. You get the idea. Okay, let's move on to the alternative ways that we can put in colors or code the color. Okay, let's look at some alternatives. Our first alternative is RGBA. As you know, R for red, G for green, B for blue, and A for alpha. It handles the opacity. So you can just put RGBA and then parentheses. You put in the value that you want it to be, and once again 0.5 for 50% opacity. It's very simple. And you can actually do this with a lot of other properties as well, not just background color. You can do it with border, with color, so on and so forth. Next up, we have HSLA. Once again, A is for alpha, and you can do it exactly the same way with RGBA. You write HSLA here with parentheses, the values, and the opacity here. Okay, now let's explore some of the ways that you can add colors to your website. One of the ways is through text color. With text color, you just need the property color, and then you add in the value. As you can see here, it will be displayed as orange, green, tomato, violet. Once again, I'll put the link in the description to a list of all of the color names that are accepted by all browsers. Next up is border color. It's very self-explanatory. So let's analyze the syntax for a bit. First, we have the property border. We have 2 pixels. This defines how thick you want the lines to be. And then you have solid, which is the style of the line. Other than solid, you have spotted, dash, but for simplicity, we're just going to go with solid, and then you put in the color. Now, if you don't want tomato, you want RGBA or HSLA, you can just write HSLA, and then parentheses, just like how we learn here. Exactly like this one. Alright? Okay, now let's have a quick demonstration of what we've learned so far. Let's boot up our Visual Studio Code. Back to our main file. Now let's delete all of this. And let's put in a comment learning about HTML colors. Alright? Now, we've been using the P tag way too much. Let's use another tag. Let's use the link, the A tag, right? Style, background, color. You can scroll down here and see and choose. I'm actually gonna go for Indian red, and then color will be, let's see, blue violet, okay? And then let's have a border, 3 pixel, solid, and then tomato, alright? Paste the link, Alt-C to wrap, and then link, alright? Now let's have a separate element. Div, style, background, color. Let's go with RGBA. I'm actually just gonna, sort of spam the colors. Oh, I'm gonna put the opacity 0.5. Color would be, let's do HSLA. 248, 53%, 53%, and then 0.7. As for the border, let's do 3 pixels. Actually, gonna go for dash. Dash. Let's see. Let's go with blue violet. This is my div. All right. Control S to save. Let's format it a little bit. Format document. Ooh. Okay. This doesn't look very nice. Okay, I'm actually gonna use a different color, yellow, and the border. Let's go with some sort of blue violet. Okay. Trust to save. So this is what a dash border looks like, and this is what a solid border looks like. If you click on the link, it leads you to my YouTube channel. So the text is a little bit too small. I'm going to try to change the font size. Let's make it 20 pixel. Down here, let's make it 30 pixel. Dress. There you have it. I'm happy to have you with me here today. Remember, learn today, better tomorrow. I hope to see you next time. And remember to like and subscribe. Goodbye.
Hello everyone.
Welcome back to Tinateach HTML Lesson 12 CSS Introduction. So today we'll be looking through the basics of CSS, what it is, and how we can implement it into our HTML file, as well as common styling, but we'll be only delving a little bit into the different styling for this lesson because I do want to make a separate video for it. Okay, first, let's look at the definition. Cascading style sheet, and its purpose is to style or format web pages, right, our websites. So it handles anything from font to color to border, position, just anything that you can style, CSS has you covered. Okay, then what does the cascading part of CSS mean, right? So when you look at style and when you look at sheet, it's very self-explanatory. But what about cascading? So cascading is if, let's say you have an HTML element, right? And this is one big element, let's say div or p, right? And within div, you have these headings, you have the different paragraphs as well as buttons and whatnot. The big div is the parent of the children, like the heading children, the paragraph children, and however you style the parent, the children will inherit those styles. Next is implementation. We have three main ways of implementing CSS into HTML. First is inline. We'll be using the style attribute. This is what I've shown to you in previous lessons. We'll be reviewing it in a bit. Next is internal. So we'll be using the style tag in the HTML head section. Okay, I'll be demonstrating it as well. Lastly, external. So we'll create an external separate CSS file and then we'll link it to any web pages. Okay, let's explore these individually. First, we have inline CSS. Inline CSS styles an HTML element using the style attribute. This is what you've seen before. Next is internal CSS. We'll be styling only the HTML page or the HTML file that the internal CSS is in, and this is nestled in head. As you have doc type HTML, and then you have the HTML, then you have head, and inside head you can put style. Now to external CSS. So since it is a separate CSS file, you can link many HTML pages to it, right? This is also nestled inside of the head tag. So you have link rel for relationship, and then you have style sheet, href for the name of the file as well as the folder that it is in if the CSS file is not in the same folder as the HTML file that you want to style. Now we have different ways of linking an external CSS file. First, we can do a full URL. You can just type in the URL of the CSS file. If there's an online CSS file that you like, you can basically use the link. You don't have to download that file manually. Next up is by referencing a folder. So first off, let's say that this CSS style is not in the same folder as the HTML file. So for the source, we'll be writing the folder and then the name of the file. However, if the CSS file is both in the HTML file, we can simply just write the name. Inline CSS, this is what I've shown you before. We have an element div with the style attribute. Background color is, let's make it yellow. Okay, CSS is great. Ctrl S to save and let's see how it looks. There you have it. Okay, now let's move on with internal CSS. We'll have a P element. This is my paragraph. Close it. Now head to the head section. have a style tag ready. Style, color blue, font size is the same, 150 pixels. Background color is red. All right, well, let's make it pink. Next up is external CSS. For external CSS, I'll be making a new file, CSS. I'll put it in the same folder as the main HTML.css, create file. Now let's go back to our main. Let's make a new element to style, h1. First heading, Control S. H1, let's see, color is white, font size 150, background color black. Next up, we have to link these two together. Go back to our head section again. Link rel style sheet, href for source. Since it is in the same folder, we can just put the name my CSS file.css. Close it, Ctrl S, and there you have it. Now, let's see what happens if we put the CSS file into a new folder. As you can see in Visual Studio Code, it crosses this out because it is not the correct location. All right, let's go to the correct location. Close this one. And we'll put the folder CSS in there. Ctrl S to save and restart. It is the same. Okay, let's experiment with it a bit more. I'm going to add a border, 2 pixel dashed red. Save. Oh, this one is a bit too small. Let's make it 20. Okay, now that's it. Okay, everyone, thank you for being with me here today. For our next lesson, we'll be diving into colors, fonts, sizes, padding and margin, borders, etc. You know, the common CSS styling. Since we did not go into it too much, I wouldn't say any in this lesson. So remember to stay tuned, check out my YouTube channel. Please do like and subscribe, and remember, learn today, better tomorrow. Hello everyone, welcome back to HTML lesson number 13, part 2 of CSS basics. Okay, so for this lesson, we can sort of explore colors, fonts, sizes, as well as margin, padding, and border. They are very common when it comes to CSS styling, all right? First up, colors, fonts, and sizes, right? So with colors, automatically we think of, and for the colors, you can use HTML colors, blue, pink, purple, as well as RGBA and HSLA, and so on. As for font family, there are plenty of sort of built-in HTML font families that you can just simply write their name. I have Verdana and Georgia for examples, but obviously there are hundreds more. As for sizes, we have pixels, we have percentage. For now, these are the main ones. You know, pixels and percentages are very common units. Borders are for creating a border around an HTML element, self-explanatory. And here's the syntax. With border, our first value will be the border width. So you can put it 10 pixels, 100 pixels. Next up is the border style. We'll explore this in a bit. And lastly, border color. Once again, anything that has to do with color, you can go with the built-in HTML color names or RGBA, HSLA, you know. Okay, now we have border style. We have dotted, dash, solid, double, inset and outset. These are 3D. You know, you have the groove, the ridge. You also have none and hidden if that ever come in useful. Obviously, I can't show all of this. You feel free to experiment as much as you like. I'm just going to be experimenting with some of them just to show you. Next up is padding. Padding is basically space. When you add a padding, you add spaces between a style or an element, and the unit is in pixel or percentage. Last but not least, margin. Once again, margin is very similar to padding. It deals with spacing, and it adds space between elements that are next to each other, as well as styling, right? If you want a little bit of a space between the text and its border, you add padding. If you have multiple buttons next to each other, you add margin in between them, so it looks nice. And I'm going to delete some of these so it's easier to see using the external CSS file, okay? So we have the first heading here. Let's add a div. Then within this div, let's add paragraph. Paragraph number 1, paragraph number 2, and then let's close the div, Ctrl S to save. Font size, I'm going to make it smaller with 50 pixels, background color is black. For border, I'm going to change the styling. Alt set. Let's go down here and add font family. Say you have a bunch of these, you can add whichever is nicer to you. I'm just going to wing it and go with this one. Okay, now let's work on div. Color is blue. Font size 20 pixel. Background color is going to be pink. Border is 15 pixel double, and then the color is black. Font family. This one. Alright, Ctrl S, and let's see how it looks. Okay, as you can see here, this is very big. If you pay attention, this showcases the cascading aspect of CSS. We did not do anything with the P or the paragraph tag. We simply style the div, and the paragraph tag inherits all of that. Okay. Let's make this a bit smaller. 50. And then I want to add some padding. 20 pixels padding. And then I want to add some margin over here. Let's make it 100. Just to see. Ctrl S. Alright. There's another thing I want to mention. So when you write margin, it basically means margin top, bottom, left to right, as well as padding, right? You can specify these with a hyphen and let's say top, okay? Ctrl S and see how it is. There we go. There's no padding on left or right. There's no padding at the bottom. There's only on the top. Now let's see what they look like without the padding and the margin. Okay, that's it. Now let's try adding some padding over here. Now let's use percentage this time, 10%. Ctrl S. There we go. The percentage is a much higher value. Thank you for being with me here today. Please do stay tuned for our next HTML lesson, which is all going to be about links, how to link different things, as well as change its display to the user. Remember to learn today, better tomorrow. I hope to see you next time. Have a great day.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach HTML series. Our lesson today, lesson number 14, I think, we'll be looking at links. So a little bit about the aesthetic before we move on to our lesson. I know that I've been changing it up. I was not happy with the previous design, so I think this design, we're gonna stick with it for quite a long time. I'm just gonna modify and change it a little bit, but it's gonna stay this way. Okay, so let's look through what we'll be dealing with. We'll be looking at the definition of links, the A tag, and then the functionality of links, like how does it work, how is it formatted, and last but not least, the syntax. So let's get on with it. Okay, first is the syntax. We've learned about this in previous lessons before. With the A tag, you can create a hyperlink, okay? And within the A tag, we have the href attribute. And within this href attribute, we put in the link. If you want to link it to a YouTube page, then you just go to YouTube, you copy the link in your browser, and you just paste it there in the URL space right here. And once you close the first tag, you have a text, right? But it doesn't have to be a text. It could just be anything, really. You can make anything a link. With HTML, you can make a button, you can make some JavaScript elements, you can make some shapes, some images, and then you close the tag as all non-empty tags must be closed. Okay, now let's move on to the next part. What's href? Okay, I've said this before. Href is the source or the destination of the link. Now, since we're looking a bit deeper into link, aside from using a website link, you can use what's known as a local link. It works very much the same way as the src or the source attribute in the image tag works. So the source attribute of the image tag, it takes the route of an image that you have already saved locally in your computer, and you can do the same with links. Okay, I'll show you in a little bit. Now let's move on from our href. We have the formatting. So this is a default in all browsers, and this is what the links will be shown as unless you style them with some CSS. Okay, so we have underlined and blue for unvisited links. What it means is that you haven't clicked on the link yet. Underline and purple for visited, meaning that you have clicked it before. And then underline and red is active. Active means that the link is clickable, but if you click on it, it would direct you to another website. As simple as that. Alright, moving on to the target attribute of link. This all has to do with functionality. You have a bunch of options here: self, blank, parent, and top. So what this deals with is that, when you click a link, a lot of the times it opens in a new tab, right? Sometimes it doesn't. It opens in the same tab on the same website that you click the link on. So this is what the target attribute handles. If you don't specify the target attribute, you go with default self. It opens in the same window, same tab, right? If you go for blank, it opens in a new tab. If you go for parents, it opens in a parent frame, so on and so forth. Obviously, we'll be doing a little bit of demonstration later. All right, let's move on. Absolute URL and relative URL. This is what I've mentioned before. You can either use a website link that you find on your browser on the internet, and you put it in the href attribute, or you can use a local link or a relative URL. Okay, since we already know what absolute URL are, they're so common. A relative URL, once again, is a local link specified without the HTTPS part. Now let's look at some examples of absolute and relative URL. You have your simple common absolute URL. This is a YouTube page, obviously, and then you have a relative URL. The first part right here, CSS, it specifies a CSS folder that this file default.asp is nestled within. Alright, now let's make a heading. My collection of list. Close it. Now let's have 4 links, okay? And then target self. Link number 1. Okay. And then let's copy this. Paste, paste, paste. So that's link number 2, link number 3, and link number 4. And we're gonna put this blank parents and top. I'm going to copy my YouTube channel link. Let's have the 2 of these be the link. And here I'm going to locate my CSS file. My CSS file, okay? We have the CSS. Let's check if it's correct. My CSS file.css. Okay, and for this one I'm not gonna put anything. Let's see how the formatting works, the default formatting. And down here I'm gonna create some more links. I'm not gonna put anything within them. And I'm gonna say formatted link. Okay, just so we know how the CSS works with this. Color red, border 2 pixel solid black. Okay, let's contrast to save and let's see how it is. Okay, let's click on link 1. It's the YouTube channel. Let's go back. Link 2. Oh, it opens in a new tab. YouTube channel once again. Let's see link 3. This is our CSS file on the previous lesson. Link 4, there's nothing, right? We haven't linked to anything. And same with formatted link, we got nothing. As you can see, after we click link 1, link 2, and link 3, they all change color. They're no longer blue. Okay, that's it for today's lesson. I'm so glad that you can join me, and I really hope that you will check out our next HTML lesson or our next Python lesson if you're interested. For HTML lesson number 15, we'll be looking at how to make HTML elements and images as links. Okay, I hope to see you next time. Remember, learn today, better tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach HTML series for links part 2. For today's lesson, we'll be looking at how to use images as links and how to link our contacts, specifically our email, and how to trigger the user's email program with our link, and then using whatever HTML elements that we want as links. So you have a button, you have a text, you have a paragraph, audio file, all of that stuff, but not specifically the audio. The audio will be for future lessons because we haven't learned that part yet. Okay, first off, image as a link. So how do you make an image as a link? Very simple. You basically nestle the img tag inside of the a tag. So with this a tag, you have your typical href attribute, and then for the image, you have the source or src to specify what image you want, right? And then you have the alt. If you still remember, alt or alternative is the text that shows up that describes the image if for some reason the image doesn't load. And the style is reserved for inline CSS. All right, now next part, linking to an email. The keyword here is mail to. We put this inside of the href attribute so we can trigger the user's email program or whatever they have in their computer. So as you can see here, we have mail to, and then someone, this is just an example, okay? Someone at gmail.com, and then you have the text that says send email. That's it. That's it for that part. And next is, so with this we'll be exploring a little bit of JavaScript. We have HTML button as a link, and some JavaScript is necessary. So we have button and we have on click. This is the JavaScript part.
But on-click is very simple to understand. It just literally what it means. On-click is when you click on it. And it has document, and then the location of the document, and then you have the link, okay? You close it off and you have some sort of text, or you can make this button an image if you fancy, and then you close the button tag as you would do with most, if not all, non-empty tags, okay? I think we've explored this in past lessons before with the title attribute. The title attribute is sort of like a tooltip that shows up next to an element whenever you hover your mouse over that element. So this makes things a little bit easier. You know, what if the user doesn't want to click on the link, but they're still curious on what the link leads to? So they could do a little hover, and there would be a description to tell them, and then they can decide whether or not they want to click after that. Okay, so it just shows like extra info as a tooltip on mouse hover, and that's it. Okay, now let's move on to a little bit of demonstration. So let's delete this. Links demonstration. Okay, H2. I'm gonna go to my folder and see if I have an image in here. I have images and Tinateach logo.png. All right. Let's make a tag first, href. Paste the link here, and then I'll have our image tag. Source, images, Tinateach logo, if I remember correctly, .png. Let's have an alt tag, alt attribute, sorry. Tinateach logo, style, background color is Alt Z to wrap the tags. Background color would be blue. Okay, and then let's close the A tag. Contrast to save. Now let's make a new link. href mail to. All right. IELTS Tinateach.ielts@gmail.com, and email me. Okay, let's add a bit of style. Let's see, let's have the opacity at 0.9 and the color to be red. Okay, now let's have a little button on click equals document.location. I'm gonna copy the same link here. Copy equals single quotes. Finish copying the link, and oops, and then make sure that it's single quote close with a double quote, and then let's name this click me. Click me, close the button. Our code or HTML file cannot locate the images. Okay, so I think the issue is the slash. I'm gonna do a backward slash, contrast to save, and there you go. Oh, this is a bit too big. Okay, let me change the size with style. Let's do width is 20 pixels and height is also 20 pixels. Okay, contrast. There we go, that's better. That's way too small though. Let's make it a bit bigger. 120, 120, contrast to save. There we go. So if we click on the image, we go to